All right, let's go over to China now. All right, because that's where I think some really interesting things are going on. All right, so, well, first I'll show you the Shanghai Composite. All right, here's the Shanghai Composite. This was the July low, right? 23.35, closed at 26.37. It had a banner month and broke above, closed the month above its upturn 20, upturn 50. Here's the 200 that's flattening out way up here. Now, keep in mind that the Shanghai Composite peaked last August. It's been going down for almost a year. And so I think there's a pretty good chance that this move down completed this entire correction. And if so, then the Shanghai is about to take off. All right, so if I put up a weekly chart, you can see the longer term situation where the Shanghai maybe had an up leg here, finished its correction 2/3 of the way back. It gave up from a year ago, and now it's ready to take off. Certainly the weekly oscillators are telling me that there's something's going on that's very powerful in the Shanghai Composite. Now, my last posting on the site on Friday was a candlestick chart of the monthly. And let me just put that up real quick because that's a pretty exciting chart from a big picture perspective. All right, here's the monthly chart. Now, this is a bar chart. But you can see on a bar chart basis the key upside reversal that occurred. Here's the correction over the past year. If I zoom in on it, here's the month. This is the month of July. New low, took out the month of June, took out the high of June, closed at the high. Very powerful signal. So, can it pull back? Sure. But in general, the Shanghai Composite looks like it has finished something and is going to make a run on the upside. And if that happens, it's probably going to be very positive for certainly certain Chinese stocks, but also probably some American companies as well. So let's go over a couple of some Chinese stocks. Well, first of all, let's just look at the FXI. Now the FXI looks better than the Shanghai. It didn't have quite as steep a decline. It did peak in August probably, or November. But to me, it looks like it's poised to take off. Let me just draw this trend line in here on the FXI. And you can see 43.25 would be the next target. It closed at 41.25, so that's almost a 10% up move, and that would be very powerful. So what inside now? The FXI is something I'll have to consider getting into for the site. But inside the FXI, let's go inside the FXI. Take a couple of China Mobile. China Mobile, in fact, is 10% of the FXI. So keep that in mind. It has a pretty good looking chart. Very different looking than the Shanghai Composite. It peaked last August too. August of 09. Here's August of 10 starting. But this looks like a base from my perspective. So with that in mind, you have a sort of a resistance line, a neckline here at about 52. It closed at 50.94, and it breaks above 52. You're going to have a pretty big move in China Mobile. And that's something I would really keep an eye on. Let's condense it to see where it came from. Well, let's go over and do the weekly to see where it came from. Now look at this. This is a really impressive chart. Could it get to 75? I don't know. But maybe that's too impressive. How about 65? Well, I'm sure all of us would take 65 from 55 because that's a huge move. Which amounts to 18%. So keep China Mobile in mind. All right, and as a reflection of both the China up move in the China market and perhaps some resurgence in growth of China, which is perceived to be slowing down. Now, tonight, the PMI from China is supposed to come out. People wonder if it's going to be below 50 or above 50. That should be very interesting to see what happens there. But these charts are telling me that probably PMI is going to be okay. All right. Now, how about another one? Another China stock. China Life Insurance. LFC. LFC, similar situation. Nice looking pattern. Finished the correction. Coiled up here, ready to take off. Trend line. Trend line 69.5. Close 67.17. Breaks out here. Should retest this high at 75. We go over to a weekly. Looks pretty good. Looks pretty good. Everything seems to be turned up. Got a little base here. Turned up. This is a correction of this move. And I think that's where we're going. Over time. So another one. LFC. Keep that on your radar screen. As an instrument. A vehicle to take advantage of the China monthly upside reversal. All right, let's do another one. Sonos, or however you pronounce it. Now that is a pretty bullish chart weekly, but let's go over to the daily. Now you know this is the petroleum corporation basically of China, and it looks pretty good, right? Higher lows, kind of flat top. Looks like it wants to move up to test this 181 level from 168. And if it gets through, we look at a weekly, looks like it'll test these highs up here, right? So there's another one we're going to keep an eye on. All right. How about the aluminum company of China, ACH. Right now, all of these that I'm giving you trade relatively large volume, so volume isn't a consideration. Getting caught in a very thin situation, right? Now, this had a pretty big correction after it. What this was, what, the November or January of last year. Well, let's see. Actually, it was January where it peaked. Had a correction. Looks like it built a base over the last, well, since May, since the flash crash. All these lows in here. Triple bottom around $18. Now it looks like it's starting to break out based on Friday's close, which is in keeping with the way the Shanghai composite closed and the FXI closed. So here's another one, ACH, that needs to be considered. And of course, you know, you have the Baidus of the world, and you know, I have a hard time buying Baidu up here. You can see where I condensed it, where it came from, but Baidu looks like it's going higher. I think it's going to 90. But you know, take your chances up here with Baidu, because if something happens, the risk up here obviously is a lot larger, a lot greater. Here's another one. Shanda looks okay. You know, I'd rather be in ACH or LFC or CHL, but Shanda looks okay. Let's put it up on a weekly to see what okay means. Well, it looks like all this work that it did on the downside from June of 09, 13, 14 months, it's been stair-stepping down, and it is no coincidence that it came down to the extension of the prior resistance line, and now it could really take off.